My name is Mira Shah. She hated how I looked, how I dressed, how I lived. So, she tried to ruin me. But I served the receipts, and dessert was justice. I stopped eating anything she cooked. Then I started feeding her what I knew. Turns out revenge tastes sweet. Before we begin, this is a true story. Names have been changed, but the betrayal, poison, and revenge are all real. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because this story of toxic roommates and sweet justice will leave you speechless. Success in Manhattan's fashion world isn't just about talent, it's about survival. By 26, I'd climbed from intern to featured designer at Vogue, built a following of 500K on Instagram, and finally secured a dream loft in Chelsea. The only thing I couldn't afford was the rent alone. That's how Olivia Mason entered my life, and nearly ended it. The luxury roommate matching service promised thorough background checks. Olivia seemed perfect, same age, fashion industry professional, impeccable credit score. Her references raved about her cleanliness, responsibility, and charm. Looking back, those references were too perfect, like everything else about her. Our first meeting was at a trendy Soho coffee shop. She arrived in Chanel, carrying a Birkin that I'd later discover was counterfeit. "Oh my God, you're even prettier in person than your Instagram," she gushed, studying my face with an intensity one should have recognized as dangerous. We clicked immediately, sharing industry gossip and career goals. She showed me photos of her previous apartment, expertly staged shots that belonged in a magazine. I told her about my upcoming collection debut at Fashion Week. Everything felt aligned. The first month in our shared loft was a dream. We hosted wine nights with fashion influencers, shared industry contacts, and built what I thought was a genuine friendship. I even featured her in my Instagram stories, helping her follower count soar from 10K to 50K in weeks. Then came the subtle shifts. It started with food. Olivia was obsessed with my eating habits. "How do you stay so tiny eating carbs?" she'd ask, watching me eat pasta. "I gain weight just looking at bread." Her comments grew more frequent, more pointed. Next came the career jabs. When Women's Wear Daily featured my upcoming collection, she smiled tightly. "Must be nice having everything come so easily, because of your looks." The fact that I'd worked 60-hour weeks for years, starting in the mailroom, apparently didn't count. But I was busy preparing for Fashion Week, too focused to see the danger signs. My social media posts mysteriously disappearing, important emails vanishing from my inbox, design samples getting accidentally stained, her gradually adopting my style, my mannerisms. Then she started cooking. "You're working so hard," she'd say, placing elaborate meals before me. "Let me handle dinner. You need your strength for Fashion Week." The first few meals were fine. Delicious, even. But slowly things changed. After her special risotto, I spent the night violently ill. Her energizing smoothies left me dizzy and weak. My hair started falling out in clumps. I blamed stress, the fashion industry's demands, anything but the truth staring me in the face. But my body knew something was wrong. After each meal she prepared, new symptoms appeared: chronic stomach pain, unexplained bruising, memory lapses, trembling hands. My doctor was baffled. Blood tests showed trace elements of various substances, but nothing definitive. "Could be stress," he suggested. "Maybe take a break?" But I couldn't take a break. Fashion Week was approaching, and my first major collection was hanging in the balance. That's when Olivia's behavior became more obvious, as if she couldn't help herself. She started dressing exactly like me, her hair color changed to match mine. She began using my exact perfume. Photos of me disappeared from our apartment, replaced by ones of her. One night, I came home early and caught her in my room, trying on my clothes, practicing my voice in the mirror. She didn't hear me over her own mimicry of my laugh. I started documenting everything. Photos of her wearing my clothes, recordings of her practicing my voice, screenshots of suspicious social media activity, samples of food that made me sick. The private investigator I hired uncovered the truth. Olivia Mason didn't exist. Her real name was Rebecca Porter, and she had a history. 3 previous roommates hospitalized with mysterious illnesses, multiple restraining orders under different names, a pattern of identity theft and impersonation, connections to black market pharmaceutical suppliers. Each victim followed the same pattern: successful women in fashion, mysterious illnesses, gradual identity theft, sudden career downfalls. But I was her most ambitious target yet. My social media presence meant she could study every detail of my life. My rising career offered the perfect opportunity for replacement. The investigator found her diary, hidden in a false bottom drawer. It read like a manual for identity theft. Detailed notes on my mannerisms, lists of my professional contacts, plans for taking over my social media, schedules for my gradual decline. The final entries were chilling. Myra's getting sicker. Soon she'll have to miss Fashion Week. Her followers barely notice when I post as her now. The transition will be seamless. Once she's gone, I'll simply step into her life. I already look more like her than she does. The breaking point came 2 days before Fashion Week. Olivia prepared her special good luck smoothie. Within hours, I was in Mount Sinai's emergency room, watching my career moment slip away. A young nurse, Dr. Sarah Chun, recognized me from Instagram. While drawing blood, she whispered, "These symptoms, they're consistent with low-dose anticoagulants and heavy metals. Someone's poisoning you." The FBI was already building a case. Agent Martinez showed me files of similar cases across Los Angeles, Miami, and Chicago. Young, successful women in fashion, all with roommates who slowly became their doubles, all ending up hospitalized or worse. But I didn't want to just be another case file. I wanted justice served cold. Or in this case, perfectly plated. I set up my own investigation. Hidden cameras throughout the apartment, food samples analyzed by private labs, hair samples showing gradual poisoning, documentation of her identity theft. The evidence was damning. Videos of her tampering with my food, recordings of her practicing my voice, photos of her wearing my clothes, receipts for black market pharmaceuticals. My lawyer, Rebecca Goldman, was blunt. "We have enough to put her away for decades. But you want something more poetic, don't you?" I did. I planned a dinner party. Just us two. A celebration of our roommate anniversary. The menu would be special. Every dish she'd ever poisoned me with, every lie she'd fed me, every bit of evidence carefully preserved. I marked the date. Roomie Appreciation Night. Olivia was thrilled, offering to cook. "No," I smiled, watching her face. "Let me handle everything. After all you've done for me, it's my turn to feed you." The table was set. The cameras were rolling. The evidence was prepared. And dinner would be a night to remember. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's making them swallow it. A perfect revenge, like a perfect meal, requires precise timing, meticulous preparation, and, most importantly, the right ingredients. For 2 weeks, I orchestrated every detail of our roomie appreciation dinner, transforming our Chelsea loft into an elaborate trap. The preparation began with assembling my hidden audience, Agent Martinez monitoring from an FBI surveillance van, Dr. Chin tracking vital signs from Mount Sinai's secure unit, Rebecca Goldman clutching warrants in her Midtown office, Detective Santos coordinating with NYPD's Special Victims Unit, and a team of forensic experts ready to document everything. I chose Thursday deliberately. Olivia always felt invincible on Thursdays, riding high from her weekly blog posts, stealing my content, mimicking my style, building her following with borrowed glamour. This Thursday, she'd posted photos from my upcoming collection, claiming our collaboration was thriving. Her followers had doubled, feeding the delusion that she could simply become me. The menu told our story through carefully chosen dishes, each one a reminder of her attempts to destroy me. The appetizer, her infamous mushroom risotto, had been her first weapon, laced with just enough warfarin to make me constantly dizzy. The main course, chicken marsala, had landed me in the ER with traces of arsenic. The dessert would be her just desserts, a file containing every piece of evidence against her. The table setting became a stage. Hermes china she'd slowly stolen from my collection, baccarat crystal she'd claimed as family heirlooms, silver settings she'd photographed as her own. Each piece tagged with proof of ownership, each item a silent witness to her deception. The surveillance setup was worthy of a CIA operation. Cameras hidden in vintage fashion books, microphones disguised as table decorations, vital sign monitors masked as modern art, and evidence files tucked into serving dishes. Agent Martinez had whistled when he saw the setup. Better than our standard ops. At 4 p.m., I began final preparations. The risotto simmered innocently, documented by food safety experts who'd verified its contents. The chicken marsala, her signature dish of deception, was prepared under video surveillance. Each step photographed, each ingredient tested, each moment recorded for evidence. The loft transformed, hidden cameras in crystal vases, microphones beneath fresh flowers, medical monitors behind artwork, and surveillance equipment concealed in designer furniture. Every inch covered, every angle captured, every word ready to be recorded. 5 p.m. brought the final briefing. Agent Martinez reviewed protocols. We move on your signal, not before. Let her incriminate herself. Dr. Chen confirmed the medical team's readiness. Any sign of distress, we're seconds away. Rebecca Goldman arranged her warrants like a deck of cards. Each confession triggers a new charge. The evidence files told a story of systematic destruction. Medical records showed escalating poisoning attempts. Warfarin in March, arsenic in April, mercury in May. Each dose calculated to weaken, not kill, creating a pattern of mysterious illness. Financial trails revealed her planning. Purchases of pharmaceuticals through dark web markets, payments to underground chemists, transactions with identity forgers. Every receipt a nail in her coffin. Social media evidence documented her transformation. Photos showing her gradual morphing into me, stolen content presented as her own, faked collaborations building her following. Each post dated and archived. Surveillance footage caught her in the act, tampering with my food, practicing my signature, trying on my clothes, rehearsing my mannerisms. Every moment captured in high definition. At 5:30 p.m., the final pieces moved into place. Agent Martinez's team positioned their van, disguised as a catering service. Dr. Chen's medical unit blended in with regular hospital deliveries. Detective Santos's officers scattered throughout the building, looking like everyday New Yorkers. The table setting completed the trap, her place marked with a china sheet stolen, her wine glass ready for fingerprints, her napkin positioned to catch any nervous gestures. Each element designed to expose her lies. 6 p.m., Olivia arrived, a mirror image of me from last week's fashion show. Same hair color, identical makeup, similar dress. Everything calculated to blur the lines between us. She moved through our apartment like she owned it, like she'd already replaced me. Something smells amazing, she cooed, inhaling the aroma of mushroom risotto. Need any help? Just sit. I smiled, noting how she'd even copied my smile. Tonight's about appreciating you. She settled into her chair, preening under attention she thought was admiration. Her eyes scanned the table, lingering on the china she'd claimed as her own. I watched her catalog each piece, probably planning how to steal more. Wine. I offered her favorite vintage, the same one she'd once spiked before my Vogue interview. The bottle had been tested, documented, and sealed by forensics. Everything tonight would be clean, except her conscience. You remembered, she exclaimed, not knowing I'd remembered everything. Every poison, every lie, every attempt to become me. 6:30 p.m., the appetizer arrived. I watched her take the first bite of mushroom risotto, saw recognition flicker in her eyes. The same recipe she'd used to start poisoning me months ago. This tastes just like my recipe, she said carefully, testing the waters. Interesting observation, I replied, opening the first folder. Because according to these lab analyses, your recipe included something special. Warfarin, to be precise. Her fork clattered against fine china, the sound echoing through hidden microphones. In the surveillance van, Agent Martinez leaned forward. Through my hidden earpiece, I heard him whisper, "She's showing signs of panic. Keep going." What are you talking about? Olivia's voice wavered, her practiced mimicry of my tone slipping. I placed the lab reports beside her plate, watching her eyes scan the chemical analysis. Warfarin, commonly used as a blood thinner, or rat poison, depending on the dose. Your specialty, isn't it? She forced a laugh, but her hands trembled as she reached for her wine. You're being ridiculous. Is this some kind of joke? No joke, I said, serving the main course with theatrical precision. Just like there was nothing funny about the arsenic in this chicken marsala. The original version, I mean. Tonight's is clean. We had it tested. Multiple times. The color drained from her face as I continued placing folders beside her plate, each one thicker than the last. Medical reports documenting systematic poisoning, photographs catching her tampering with food, screenshots of stolen identity posts, police reports from previous victims, a paper trail of destruction. Through my earpiece, Dr. Chen reported, her heart rate spiking, blood pressure elevated. She's realizing she's trapped. You're crazy, Olivia whispered, but her perfectly manicured nails, copied from my Instagram posts, drummed nervously against crystal. Crazy? Let's discuss crazy, Rebecca. Or, do you prefer Olivia? Or Sarah Williams from Los Angeles? Jennifer Porter from Miami? Emma Davidson from Chicago? With each name, another file joined the growing pile. 6 cities, 15 victims, multiple identities. You've been busy. How did you? Her voice trailed off as realization hit. Find out? While you were busy trying to become me, I was busy learning who you really are. I projected her diary entries onto our dining room wall, her handwriting large and damning. Day 45. Increase the dosage. She's getting weaker. Day 60. Started copying her signature. Almost perfect now. Day 75. Once she's gone, her life will be mine. Day 90. No one notices the difference anymore. I am becoming her. The surveillance team captured every micro-expression as her facade cracked. Agent Martinez whispered, "She's looking for exits. Be ready." Olivia stood suddenly, her chair scraping against hardwood. The sound echoed through hidden microphones, broadcasting her panic to our invisible audience. "You don't understand. I never meant to." "To what? Poison me? Steal my identity? Ruin my career?" Which part was an accident? I kept my voice calm, controlled. Everything she'd tried to copy. "Was it an accident when you doubled the warfarin dose before my Fashion Week presentation? When you switched my medication with counterfeits? When you started telling people you were the real talent behind my designs?" She lunged for her bag, probably reaching for one of her burner phones. "I have proof of our collaboration. Everyone knows we work together." "You mean these phones?" I placed 3 phones on the table, her collection of burner devices used to contact drug suppliers. "Your dealer in Queens was very cooperative with the FBI. Turns out, federal charges make people chatty." The final course arrived, a single manila envelope containing every piece of evidence, topped with a federal warrant. "Dinner is served," I said softly. "I hope you're hungry for justice." Agent Martinez and Detective Santos chose that moment to enter, their timing perfect. "Rebecca Porter," Martinez announced, "you're under arrest for attempted murder, identity theft, and pharmaceutical fraud." As they read her rights, I saw my reflection in the window, strong, healthy, survivor. Next to me, Olivia's careful copy of my appearance seemed pathetic, a cheap imitation crumbling under truth's harsh light. "You could never be me," I said quietly. "Because, unlike you, I don't need to destroy others to succeed." They led her away in handcuffs, her final performance as Olivia Mason ending not with applause, but with the click of metal against metal. In the silence that followed, I raised my wine glass to the hidden cameras. Sometimes revenge is best served not just cold, but with multiple courses of justice. The days following Olivia's arrest peeled back layers of deception so intricate, even the FBI was stunned. Agent Martinez called it the most elaborate case of identity theft and attempted murder we've seen in decades. But they had only scratched the surface. My apartment became a crime scene, forensics teams discovering evidence of horrors I hadn't even suspected, hidden cameras in my bathroom, a makeshift laboratory behind her closet's false wall, journals detailing plans for my accidental death, and most disturbing, a collection of items from her previous victims, trophies she'd kept like a serial killer's souvenirs. The investigation revealed a pattern spanning 8 years, not just the 6 cities we knew about. Paris, 3 fashion editors hospitalized with mysterious illnesses. Milan, a rising designer found dead from natural causes. London, 2 social media influencers who mysteriously moved away. Tokyo, a fashion photographer who disappeared. New York, me, her most ambitious target yet. Each victim shared similarities, successful women in fashion, all with distinctive styles, all targeted by someone they trusted. The pattern was always the same: move in, poison slowly, steal their identity, then vanish when suspicion grew. But with me, she'd gotten greedy, wanting not just my identity, but my entire life. The evidence mounted in waves. First wave, the medical horror, detailed logs of poison combinations, effects on different body systems, calculated doses to create specific symptoms, photographs documenting my deterioration, hair samples showing heavy metal accumulation. Second wave, the identity theft, practice sheets of my signature, recordings of her mimicking my voice, files on my family, friends, business contacts, plans to access my accounts, strategies for replacing me gradually. Third wave, the network, connections to black market pharmaceutical suppliers, underground cosmetic surgeons, document forgers, identity theft rings, professional imposters. But the fourth wave hit hardest. During a secondary sweep of her room, investigators found a hidden laptop containing videos, hundreds of them. Each one showed her practicing to become her victims. Day 89. Myra's laugh is unique. The key is to start the sound in the throat. Day 120. Her walk has a slight hip sway. Must perfect this. Day 156. Almost have her signature perfected. Damn, curves just so. The videos became increasingly disturbing, showing her wearing my clothes, sleeping in my bed when I worked late, even recording herself pretending to be me in conversations with my friends. Detective Santos brought in criminal psychologists who painted a chilling picture. Olivia, or Rebecca Porter, wasn't just a poisoner or identity thief. She was something far more dangerous, a pathological identity assassin, someone who didn't just steal lives but methodically erased and replaced her victims. The investigation expanded internationally. Interpol connected her to similar cases across Europe and Asia. The fashion industry, it seemed, was her perfect hunting ground, a world where appearance is everything and sudden disappearances aren't uncommon. My lawyer, Rebecca Goldman, worked overtime building the case. Testimonies from surviving victims, evidence from unsolved fashion world accidents, financial trails showing elaborate planning, medical records revealing systematic poisoning, psychological evaluations explaining her methodology. But the true horror emerged during her interrogation. Olivia didn't show remorse. She showed pride. Her confession, recorded in a sterile FBI interview room, was chilling. They didn't deserve their lives, she stated calmly. I could be them better than they could. Mira was just the latest, the best. I almost had it perfect this time. The fashion industry reacted with shock and support. Vogue ran a cover story. The Identity Assassin, Fashion's Dark Secret. Women's Wear daily investigated similar cases. Social media exploded with stories from others who suspected they'd been targeted. My own investigation continued, driven by a need to understand. How many others had she destroyed? Who else had helped her? What drove someone to not just steal identities, but literally try to become their victims? The answers came from unexpected sources. A retired psychiatrist recognized her pattern from a case 15 years ago, a teenage girl who'd systematically copied then destroyed her popular classmates. A cosmetic surgeon in Beverly Hills admitted doing subtle procedures to help her more closely resemble her targets. A pharmacist in Queens confessed to supplying her with various poisons, thinking they were for research. But the most shocking revelation came from Olivia's own mother. Catherine Porter arrived at my lawyer's office, clutching a worn leather diary. It started when Rebecca was 12, she whispered, hands trembling. Her best friend won a talent show. The next week, that friend got mysteriously ill. Rebecca performed the same routine at the next show, wearing an identical outfit. It wasn't the last time. The diary detailed a disturbing childhood pattern. Age 14, copied then poisoned the cheerleading captain. Age 16, replaced her drama club rival. Age 18, became her college roommate's twin before the girl mysteriously withdrew. Age 20, first fashion industry victim, an intern at L. Each entry more calculated than the last, evolving from teenage jealousy to methodical identity assassination. The fashion world had simply given her the perfect hunting ground, a place where reinvention was celebrated and disappearances could be explained away by the industry's transient nature. The FBI's forensic psychologists built a profile. Subject displays extreme identity dysphoria combined with sociopathic tendencies. She doesn't just want to steal lives. She believes she deserves them more than her victims. Each successful replacement feeds the compulsion to find a better life to take. The evidence kept mounting. Storage units in 6 cities containing victims' belongings, detailed dossiers on potential future targets, surgical consultations for subtle appearance modifications, recordings of voice coaching sessions, practice videos of her mimicking victims' mannerisms. My own case had been her most elaborate. 2 years of preliminary surveillance before moving in, connections cultivated within my professional circle, gradual accumulation of my personal items, systematic documentation of my daily routines, calculated chemical cocktails to slowly debilitate me. The investigation revealed her endgame. She'd planned to have me disappear during Fashion Week, presumably from stress and illness. She would step in already known to my colleagues, already moving in my circles. The transition would have seemed natural to anyone who didn't look too closely. The fashion industry responded with sweeping changes. New security protocols for shared housing, background check requirements for industry professionals, medical monitoring for unexplained illnesses, support systems for potential victims, documentation requirements for collaborations. But the story wasn't over. As investigators dug deeper, they discovered something even more disturbing. Olivia wasn't working alone. A network of identity thieves, all targeting successful women in different industries, all connected through an underground forum called the Replacement Club. The FBI's cybercrime unit uncovered the forum's contents: techniques for identity acquisition, sources for untraceable toxins, methods for psychological manipulation, success stories of completed replacements, lists of potential targets. My case had been featured prominently, a work in progress documented in chilling detail. But now it would serve a different purpose, as evidence to dismantle an entire network of identity assassins. The investigation expanded globally, reaching into fashion houses in Paris, Milan, and Tokyo. More victims came forward, more stories emerged, and more predators were exposed. But as I sat in my newly secured apartment, reviewing the evidence for the upcoming trial, I couldn't shake one question. How many others were still out there, watching, waiting, planning to become someone else? They say the truth sets you free, but watching Olivia Porter's trial showed me that truth can also imprison, expose, destroy, and ultimately transform an entire industry. The courthouse steps became a media circus. Fashion reporters clutching designer notebooks, true crime journalists fighting for exclusives, industry insiders whispering behind Hermes scarves, security teams scanning for copycat criminals, psychiatrists studying the case of the century. Inside, the evidence unfolded like a grotesque fashion show: bottles of carefully measured poisons, journals documenting my planned demise, videos of her practicing my life, photographs tracking my deterioration, recordings of her plotting my replacement. Each piece telling the story of a woman who didn't just want to steal lives, but perfect them in her own twisted image. The prosecution built their case methodically, presenting evidence in devastating waves: medical records showing systematic poisoning, financial trails revealing underground networks, surveillance footage capturing her transformations, testimony from previous victims, expert analysis of her methodology. Each day brought new horrors, new revelations, new understanding of how deep her deception went. Olivia sat at the defendant's table, still wearing her hair like mine, still mimicking my posture, still trying to become me even as she faced justice. Her eyes followed my every move, studying, learning, copying, a habit she couldn't break even in custody. The victim's testimony painted a pattern of destruction: a Parisian editor describing her slow poisoning, a Milan designer revealing her narrow escape, a London influencer detailing her stolen life, a Tokyo photographer explaining her ruined career. Each story echoed mine, each victim carrying scars both visible and hidden. The defense tried claiming mental illness, childhood trauma, industry pressure. They painted Olivia as a victim of fashion's demanding standards, a woman driven to extremes by society's expectations. But the evidence told a different story: calculated plans, methodical execution, careful documentation of her crimes. The forum evidence proved most damaging: chat logs discussing targeting methods, shared poisoning techniques, identity theft strategies, victim selection criteria, success celebrations. The Replacement Club wasn't just a support group for identity thieves, it was a masterclass in destroying lives. When the verdict came, it was unanimous: guilty on all counts. The sentence reflected the magnitude of her crimes: 40 years without parole, psychiatric evaluation, restitution to victims, lifetime ban from fashion industry contact. Justice served, but the aftertaste remained bitter. The aftermath transformed fashion forever: new security protocols in shared housing, mandatory background checks for industry professionals, poison detection systems in shared spaces, identity verification requirements, mental health support services. My story became a cautionary tale, taught in fashion schools alongside design principles and business practices. The Replacement Club crack bled under international pressure: arrests in Paris, raids in Milan, investigations in Tokyo, networks exposed worldwide. Each arrest revealed more victims, more stories, more lives nearly stolen. I rebuilt slowly, carefully, stronger. New security systems in my apartment, careful vetting of all contacts, regular medical screenings, enhanced digital protection, support groups for survivors. My designs now include subtle anti-copying measures, small details that prove authenticity. The fashion industry embraced change: mental health awareness campaigns, support systems for struggling professionals, authentication protocols for collaborations, security measures at events, background checks for shared spaces. My experience became a catalyst for protecting others. Last week, I received a letter from prison. Olivia's handwriting still mimicked mine, but her words were her own. "I chose you because you were everything I wanted to be." I never understood that becoming someone else meant losing myself. I didn't respond. Some conversations are better left unfinished. Instead, I focused on my latest collection, inspired by transformation and authenticity. The centerpiece, a red dress with hidden armor, beautiful but impenetrable. Like me. They say success is the best revenge, but I've learned its authenticity that truly defeats those who would steal our lives. No one can really become you because you're not just a collection of habits and styles, you're the sum of your experiences, including the ones that tried to destroy you. My name is Mirasha. This is my story, and no one can steal that.